Everyone, and welcome to John Talks Indian Cinema. I am your host, the Indian Cine-MANIAC, back with another 10-ish minute review. We have a very special episode today because we have a special guest. I'll get to that in 1 second. So I just recently, and I don't know when I'm going to drop this, but I recently did a review of Thudarum with Mohanlal. I've been saying Mohanlal, and I was corrected by El Koshi, which I typically do. Now, in fairness to him, he wants me to get this stuff right. Okay, so that's why. But it got a lot of hits. Okay, and I think people like me reviewing Malayalam films, which means we got a big Malayalam audience, obviously. So I've been getting some recommendations from some new viewers to the show. So if I'm able to stream it, I'll try to watch them. You actually brought up some films that I've already reviewed, and if that happened, I put the link in your comment. But today I have a very special guest, Drew Gould, who was from the original show that got this whole thing started, Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast, is joining me today to do this show, and because of that, it was not a recommendation from you guys. It was his recommendation. This was a film he wanted to watch, and he wanted me to watch it. So that's what we're going to do. So the film is Bhaag Milkha Bhaag from 2013. The Flying Sikh. That's right. The true story of the Flying Sikh. It's directed by Rakeysh Omprakash Mehra, who directed Rang De Basanti, a movie I really like. It stars Farhan Akhtar. I think that's how you pronounce it. Now, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. Dawn, Dil Chahta Hai, Dil Dhadakne Do. And I guess I don't appreciate this guy's value because he's a director, he's a producer. I also found out that when there are songs in his films, it's his singing voice. They don't dub his voice, like Priya Chopra. A dancer. Now the films I've seen him, I thought he was good. I didn't think he was like, I don't put him Amir Khan. I don't put him with some Fafa. But I will tell you, in this film, great performance, I thought. I don't know what Drew thinks about it, but I thought he was fantastic in this. And I'm curious to know more about him and maybe some other films that he's done I'd like to see. Kosi or Fali, who was in Baby, Deepak Singh Rawat, Yogaraj Singh, Sonam Kapoor, Divya Dutt, Rebecca Breeds, who also played in the TV series Starling. She played Clarice, which was based on Silence of the Lambs. It's inspired by a true story of the Flying Sikh, as he was known. And I'm not going to, now, I don't think we're going to do the grading system. It's kind of hard to do with two people. So I think we're just going to have a discussion. And we're going to try to keep it to about 40 minutes. That's how much time I have on the actual recording. So we should keep it succinct. And at the end, we're going to have recommendations. Both of us will have recommendations for you. Since you guys recommend so much to me, we're going to recommend something to you. Okay. So give me a big John Talks Indian Cinema Cinemaniac welcome to my friend, Drew Gould. Well, welcome, Drew Gould.
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
I
Thank you,
assume
thank you.
that must be a boom microphone or some kind of lighting system to the left of you, or I'm seeing it, that big pole.
Oh, no. I've lost 65 pounds in the past year, and a lot of it has been through pole dancing. And so that's my pole. I also use it to encourage fire safety between levels of a building. And
have you
it's
really
my lamp.
lost 65 pounds?
I have lost 65 pounds. My wife's lost over 80 pounds.
Oh my
It's been an exciting
God.
year. Yeah.
Well, you got to call Kelly in and let her slip into something comfortable so I can see what this is looking like.
She would be happy to say hello, but honestly, she's outside. It's planting season, which is from I think
Ah,
April to November. So she's outside. She's outside working in the yard,
very good.
beating up the
Well,
earth and putting
well,
pretty things.
Drew, welcome to John Talks Indian Cinema.
I love it.
I
Look at that.
I can't keep it going though because people are irritated by the flicker,
Yeah.
and I can't figure out how to get rid of the flicker. So it's light enough that everyone can see it. But
Oh yeah.
so today, and this was, okay, this film was recommended by Drew Gould. I always put a little thing
Yes.
at the bottom, and the
Thank you.
film he chose was Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, which
Yep.
is Run Milka Run, right?
That is correct.
And it's the Flying Sikh. I already did a little intro. So, Drew, since this was your film, and we don't have to do it with the grading system, although I would like a final verdict, one to
We
five.
can't. We can do that. I'm
I
ready
want
for
to.
whatever you want.
I want to have a little discussion.
Sure.
And you start. I introduced the cast and the director, and that it was about the Flying Sikh, but that's really all I said. So, first of all, why'd you even pick this film?
Well, I picked the movie, and before you said let's have me on and talk about it, I had not watched it yet. I was just interested in it because I've heard that it's very good. It's like a big, famous story that I think everyone in India knows, which means it's not surprising that they'd make a movie of it, and people seem to like the movie of it. I'm not really a big sports guy. I love sports movies. I heard this was a good sports movie, and it's tied directly to some, pretty important and awful parts of Indian and Pakistani history.
Yeah,
So it kind of
partition.
brings together all these different interests into
Yeah.
the story. And I have not seen a lot of movies with these actors in it, but I want to see more because I really like a lot of the cast in the movie. And I'm glad that we watched it because I think it's got some good stuff to talk about. I didn't love it,
The
but I
lead,
think it's a good
the
film.
lead actor, okay, is
Hmm.
now I know of him because I've seen several films that he was in, and one that I really liked him in was Dil Dhadakne Do. And what I also found out, this guy is an accomplished dancer.
You
In
can
the
tell that
films,
for sure. Oh
in the
my
films
goodness.
where they're singing, he does all his own singing.
Oh, I didn't know
They
that.
don't dub
Wow.
him. He's a
Okay.
fantastic producer and director. But I've never seen him personally as good an actor as I saw in this.
Okay.
I didn't
Great.
see that from him, but I'd like to learn more about him because he's very popular and does a lot of stuff. But anyway, that's a little bit
No, wait,
about
but
him.
let me ask you though. Do you think that he was the best that you've seen in this movie because his acting was really very good, or because he was just so incredibly smoking hot and ripped
Well,
and big?
well, all the training the guy went through for this
Oh
film,
my
'cause
God.
he looked like a friggin' runner, but he was he just his performance. It's so different from anything else that I've seen him in.
Hmm.
And he was like
Cool.
he was committed to the role, obviously,
Yeah.
physically, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to see more of him. But anyway, so okay, so go ahead, tell me what you thought, tell me what you think of the film, and what we'll do is we usually do a grading system. We're not going to do that, but we'll talk about the film, we'll talk about the performances, we'll get into the music, and then the grade will give us a final verdict. How's that?
That sounds good to me.
Beautiful. Okay,
You
so
lead the
go.
way. So, I don't, unlike a lot of people that we know in our lives, I do not have a problem with movies being long. I do not have a problem with long run times being a distinct part of Indian cinema. I also do have a problem with television series on streaming being 8 episodes when they should have been 3, or an
Filler
hour and a half
episodes.
movie
Yeah,
or whatever.
right, exactly.
My experience with this movie was kind of somewhere in the middle because I don't think it was too long in the sense that it was boring or anything like that, but it was so episodic, and the way that they told the story and the way that they did what I would expect them to do, which is we're not going to show the real horror of what he experienced as a child until the end, because that's literally what he's running from and running to his future.
Right.
And the symbolism isn't subtle or anything, but it's fine. It doesn't need to be. I think that ironically, in a movie about running, it could have been much more propulsive and dynamic if I hadn't been so aware of how episodic it was.
Yeah.
So there isn't any episode of the guy's life that I said, well, that doesn't need to be in the movie or anything like that. It just felt really separate, like the way it bounced around, like he's in the army, but then it bounces back to when he's in a camp, but then it bounces back to when he meets the girl, and then he's back in the army, and then he leaves the army. It was like, I don't know. I felt like I never quite got its hooks into me as far as the story continuing to go. But that said, individual sequences,
I can
really liked.
CGI, I can with in post I can get rid of that tail that just flew across the screen.
no, it's fine. It's the cat tushy. Mwah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
it was
so
very nonlinear.
yeah, but not I think in a way that served it.
No, not like Pulp Fiction. No, no, you're
Yeah.
right about that. Because it did kind of confuse the story a little bit. And the
Mhm.
stuff that I was really into, they kept showing his PTSD and they didn't really tell you what happened, like you said, till the end. So you really understood why he was the way he was. But
Right.
I found the running stuff, I actually would have liked to have seen a little more of that.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he looked like the guy could run. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Which impressed me. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, no. I mean that's really where I was going to head to is that it's a movie about a runner. It's not that there's nothing wrong with the running that they do. I don't feel like they have a big montage towards the end where they show him running across the finish lines at I don't even know a dozen races or something.
Right.
I didn't feel like I needed to see all of those individually,
Right.
but I needed to see. I want to see more of the racing and what that world was because a lot of it was the sort of figurative representation of him again turning around. There's a horse he's running from, all that kind of stuff,
Right.
which is fearsome and scary and everything. But it really came to life with the running and the way that his character. A lot of it to me was the reaction of the other characters to him, like his Sikh coach, and then his national coach, and the way that those men reacted, and then of course the big finish at the end with the way that his family and his unit and all these people are listening on the radio,
Right.
and Nehru and the governments of both of these countries and stuff. I mean, it all each of those things sort of proved more of that, please. Would have been nice. That doesn't mean the rest of it was boring. And some of it, like the scene where he meets his friend Sampreet from childhood at the end at his childhood
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
that was very moving.
Yeah.
I
Because you
had
realized he was
not,
still alive.
yeah, which
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or bad that it never even occurred to me if he was okay or not.
Yeah.
As soon as he appeared, I was like, oh, he's that kid that
Right.
wouldn't run on the sand, that was talking about the butts. But
Yeah.
but that was really quite
That whole
was really
scene
quite
when he
nice.
went back to that place was
Yeah,
pretty powerful.
it was very powerful. And then the other reason I was curious about it, one of my favorite, let's call it unapologetically 90s movies is True Lies. And Art Malik is the unapologetically cartoonish terrorist villain in True Lies, and he's his dad in this. And his dad that gets his head cut off, spoilers,
That
that's
was
Art
his
Malik.
dad? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the same actor. He's got a
Oh,
big beard and he's got his Sikh turban on and everything. But
oh, really?
but I just liked him as an actor. I've liked him as an actor, and I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. And I was already interested in this movie, and then I thought, oh, you know what? Let me see. And I have no idea how big the role is or whatever. And it was kind of like that sort of the dad that looms large over
Right.
your life and your memory,
Right.
like in RRR or something like that. I try not to mention that movie every time I come on the podcast.
How can you not?
But that's like an archetype of these kinds of stories of, my family was destroyed in front of me, and then what happened with the rest of my life. And some people are able to do incredible things from that pain. And that is, that's the story that the movie is telling. I wish it had told it, like you said, a little more straightforward, just
Yeah.
structurally
Yeah.
speaking. What was your feeling that it could have just been tighter, or?
Yeah, I think it's not that the movie felt long to me, but there were times when it was like I felt like nothing was happening, and it's like,
Yes.
well, why is this here? You
Right.
know what I mean? Because I really was into his training, his
Hmm.
running.
Hmm.
Now, the one thing it kind of, I don't want to say it turned me off because that's not fair, but the Pakistanis were so cartoonishly evil
Yes, they were.
that I just, is that dramatic license because of who made the film, or do you believe that's really what they were like? I kind of find that hard to believe, but
Well,
that,
I mean, I don't think anybody, if you're portraying somebody as cartoonish as that, I don't think that they're ever really only
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But I would say two things about that. First of all, the biggest bad guy character in the film that isn't someone who actually killed his family type of thing was that Indian champion that he
Oh, at
tried
the
on his blazer, and it
Yeah.
was very, like he
Yeah.
actually hurt him and everything. That guy was to me a
Yeah.
bigger just bastard
Yeah.
than the Pakistani runner. And the Pakistani runner that was his opponent all the
His
way through to the
nemesis.
end. His coach was much more of a jerk
right.
than the runner, and his coach was much more of a jerk than the president of Pakistan. Who there's a lot of things you could say about him and his rule over Pakistan, but the way that I meant to look it up. I don't know. Is he the guy that coined the name the Flying Sikh. I don't know.
Oh,
Because
I don't know.
The way they did that in the movie was almost like, hey, this guy really did,
Yeah.
at least for a moment, bring something together that
Well,
wasn't
that's when they
there.
showed the Pakistani, or the military guy, wasn't it, clapping?
Right. That's the president,
Yeah.
and
So he was
he's
clapping. So
right. But then he's the one who walks up to him and says, you did something special. I'm Pakistan. I lost.
right,
You're India. You won. You did something really
right.
special. And they didn't quite push the whole thing that could have honestly made me a little uncomfortable, which if they were starting to push it, it's like you're a son of Pakistan type of thing, because
Right.
that's not the story of the partition.
Right.
But I think also remember, this is another one of those movies. Everybody who sees this movie knows the story.
Right.
Everybody knows the story. And so if I felt like I only know what's going on because I had to look up a little bit of this man's life or this part of the story or whatever, that doesn't bother me.
Right.
There are certain American stories that if I said I'm going to do a movie about, John Wilkes Booth, I don't have to tell you who that is. I don't have to tell you why he's famous. I don't have to tell you what he did. I don't have to tell you what happened after he did what he did. I'm trying to say it as, without spoilers in case somebody wants to watch Lincoln by Steven Spielberg. But I'm willing to extend some grace to a movie that is, it's not made for me. It's made for a specific, totally other audience that I feel lucky that I can, join them and watch their
Yeah,
movies.
and I mean, if you're from India, you got to be proud as hell of what happened.
Oh yeah.
And for
Oh
him,
yeah.
who had redemption after losing in the Olympics, because he had PTSD before he
Yep.
hit the finish line, and to redeem himself at the end for something he really didn't want to do. He
Right.
didn't want to go back to Pakistan. He wanted nothing to
Right.
do with that, but he did it for the love of his country. So
Right.
I could see where that. But whenever I do movies like this, where there's two sides, Pakistan and India, one side is patriotic, the other side, it's all propaganda. So you
Right.
try to find a middle ground, and I think they kind of achieved that with the ending with the president, the way he responded to the Flying Sikh, whether he came up with a name or not. I thought that was kind of, Shah Rukh Khan does that too. He always says, why should we shouldn't be apart like this? We should be together because we're all one people. They always try to do that. And
Right.
then you get in the comments, propaganda, propaganda, blah, blah, blah. But I could see where that could happen with this film. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, if well, I'll get to my grade later on, but it really kept me in it for the most part. I
Mhm.
think it could have been a bit tighter because it was, when they were flipping back and forth, it did get a little confusing of where they
Yes.
were in the timeline.
Agreed.
So that was
Just a little
kind of
bit.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also when he was running with his smashed legs and the bandage is kind of hanging off. I don't know. I did that really happen that way? Maybe it did. I
Well,
don't
look, I
know.
mean, you have sat through not only Forrest Gump, but also what is it, Lal Singh Chada?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I remembered. And
Oh yeah.
I don't like Forrest Gump, and I don't remember a lot of specific stuff, but I do remember him running till his braces came off and he became like the unstoppable runner. And
Yeah.
so I know that wasn't a specific reference that they were making, although this is a guy who lived through specific historic eras and they use historic footage and things like that. I don't
Yeah.
think that was an intentional thing, but it did kind of occur to me. I will say one other thing about him as a person. I like that he wasn't some sort of irredeemable monster. It wasn't a movie about the horseman who killed his family and cut his father's head off or
Right.
anything. But he also was, a poor kid from nothing, who had very limited options and then ended up a refugee with even more limited options.
And those refugee
I don't-
camp scenes were just brutal.
Oh, it's terrifying and it's awful. And the scene when he meets his sister and they realize that they're each still alive is just beautiful and really powerful and really relatable and everything. But he was a thief,
Right.
and he wasn't the world's nicest guy. And he was also a human who, and I don't blame him. He went to Australia and he met a nice girl. And
Well,
that,
after his other girlfriend didn't wait for him.
right. But
Yeah.
I mean, like that
Bitch.
sort of screwed up his running.
Yeah.
And he,
That's right.
I think it's good that he did that because that's what a person would do. And I think it's good that he learned from it. And I think it's really good considering that he is that naturally talented and that he does work
Yeah.
that hard, that he had another chance. And then he had to go to, I guess, I don't know if that was supposed to be Kashmir or the Himalayas or whatever, but where he's running with the tire and
The
all that kind
training?
of stuff. Yeah, that
training
was
is-
that
yeah.
was straight out of like Rocky Four.
Yeah,
I
well,
heard
of course.
Paulie.
You gotta have
I heard
that
of Paulie,
montage.
when Paulie comes, I guess he comes out of the airplane. He's like, Russia ain't so tough because it's just cold or whatever. But yeah, no, he did feel in a movie that's clearly about archetypes and patriotism and all these other things. He did feel like somewhere in there's a real man.
Yeah.
That
A
may have
damaged
been
man.
like the real man.
damaged
A
man,
real
yeah.
man, a damaged man.
Yeah.
And I read about his life and everything after, and how he basically he took 1 rupee as payment for the rights to the movie, and it said, and a portion of these profits will have to go to a foundation that I've set up. And then his wife died 5 days before he did, both of COVID in 2021.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, this is a full life with a sad end, but that means that he got to see the movie, 8 years before he died and everything. So it's
Yeah, and I read that he
compelling
also
story.
he gave the lead actor his shoes, his running shoes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because he really loved
that's the other thing. This is clearly one of those movies. It's very special to everybody who made it.
Right.
It's very personal. Like when we watched Rocketry, what is his name? Madhavan, that did that movie.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that was clearly a passion project for him.
Yep. The Nambi effect.
Nambi effect. Yeah, it was clearly like, this is a story that I care about, and it's a known story. It's a nationally known story, and it's a movie that people
And the
will
fact
wanna
that they
watch,
used
but
the
I'm
real
making it
guy
happen.
in the last scene tells you how much they revere the guy.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So,
Okay, good. So let me just did I have anything in here?
well, I wanted to say one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I none of the we'll talk about the music as a score and everything in a
Yeah.
minute. I really dug the dancing in the scenes, because the dancing, I love dancing
Like in the
these movies.
barracks?
Like at the barracks, or
Yeah.
like at the nightclub, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's obviously it's choreographed because it's a scene in a movie, but it wasn't it wasn't
Out
a
of
full,
place.
right. It wasn't a
Yeah.
full which is never necessarily automatically bad, and it didn't take me out of it, because now we are staging a dance number. Like, you have that soldier with the shrill voice suddenly starts beatboxing, and then they're just dancing, and
Right.
they look like a bunch of guys dancing, and then they're in the bar in Australia, and they're just
The honky
dancing.
tonk.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just fun, and I feel like a lot of the dancing felt like real people. It was exuberant, but it didn't necessarily require more skill than passion, which really suits my personal dance style.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really kind of
Yeah, I like the movies where they work the musical numbers in organically, as
Right.
opposed to, okay, it's time in the movie where we have to do a big dance number,
Right.
because that's what the audience wants. They didn't do that in this.
No, it wasn't a
which I
problem
like.
that I had. It
I
wasn't
agree
a
with
problem
you.
that I had. Yeah, it worked out
Okay,
really well.
so let's talk about the performances, and go ahead. You can start with that. I'll tell you what I think, but
Well, I'm going to go with a solid 3.5 out of 5. I think overall, I liked the performances. Just in general, I like the acting in general. I think some of the performances, like I said, his coaches, and there was one other character that really got my attention. I can't remember who it is. If it occurs to me, I'll tell you. But the way that those characters felt like real people that were also genuinely supporting characters. Like, they supported,
yeah.
Milka, because they cared about him, and what we've learned about him that made sense. It didn't just feel like sometimes these movies that are about a person, they end up, the person in the middle is like a god, and everyone is
Right.
around them worshiping them or hates them or whatever.
Right.
And it was more real than that. So I thought the performances really sold that for me.
Yeah, and again, we're not grading them, but we're going to grade them anyway. I give it a 4 for this reason. I thought the movie rose and fall by his performance, and he was fantastic in this film. I mean, everyone else was good. They were okay. They weren't great. I think his first coach, I really liked the first coach in that relationship that he had with the first coach.
The one who was the soldier with him.
Yes.
Yeah, the sick one who came back and goes, "Oh, now you're an officer."
That's
and
right.
he
I really
gave his
liked
medals.
it.
And
Yeah.
it was a wonderful performance.
Yeah. But his performance, I just found it was so, he played haunted, he played damaged, proud, and you can't undermine the physicality of what he did. That, I've seen movies where guys play sports, baseball especially, and you can tell they've never picked up a baseball in their life.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with a runner, right? This guy looked like he could do the things that this real person did. Maybe not as well, but he certainly trained well and had, he wasn't like jacked. He was lean,
Yes.
muscular and lean, which is what a runner would be, right?
But also he, that scene where he's training that we talked about, he's training out in the mountains,
pulling the giant tire.
Right, and then he's got the ankle weights on, and
Yes.
he's doing the jump rope, and they have that scene where he's jumping and he's spinning, and as he's spinning, that's when he puts even more muscle on.
Yes.
And that's why, there are runners that you see that are built like you know, as lean and as thin and as skinny as possible. And then there's guys like Usain Bolt who are just,
Right.
you know, anatomy charts, but have real mass to them and everything. And, you know, this guy, you know, Milkha Singh is a sprinter like that. And you know, if you look at somebody like that, you say, well, if he was stronger, he could be faster. And they sold me. That's how they did it. That's how he trained. That's how he did
I
it.
love
'Cause, you
the
know,
ankle
at a certain
weight.
point, it's
What
like I have the heart, I'm driven to run by my history, all this other stuff. But you know, if you do the work, that's what the work looks
Well,
like.
and that's
when you
what
do it right.
ultimately what he had to end up doing to win the
Yeah.
race, right? You got to
Yeah.
work. And when they put what is this for? What are these ankle things for? That was
Yeah.
funny. What?
That was
What am I
funny.
supposed to do with this? But
That
when
was
he was
funny.
running around with that giant tire, and it had to be real. I would think it was real because of the track it was leaving.
I mean,
Now,
they did something.
they
Yeah.
could say it was CGI, but I don't think so. So I'd have to believe this actor wanted to do it for real, and he was
Yep.
probably physically able to do it.
Yep. I
I
think
would
that's
bet.
fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
So yeah.
Did you
so,
see any of the director's other movies? I know you saw
Yeah,
Wrong
just
to, Wrong to
the one.
Basanti.
Yeah, I always put the one Rang de Basante, which was an Amir Khan film.
Of course, I knew you saw that
Yeah,
one, yes.
but it was a really good movie. But that's the only one I've seen that he's directed.
Yeah, me too.
Most of the cast, in fact, I've only seen 3 of them in other stuff. Rebecca Breeds, who played Stella in Australia, she played Clarice in the TV series Starling in the U.S.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I looked her
Okay.
up. I go, she looks,
Huh.
she does, she looked kind of familiar to me, but I
Mhm.
wasn't sure. But yeah, so I thought his performances for me, what really made the film. Now, as far as the music goes, and I'll just
Yes.
tell you, we've already talked about it a little bit, but I loved the scene in that bar when they were
That
doing
was so
all
fun.
the rockabilly stuff. I loved the music. I
Mhm.
loved the dancing that they were doing. He drank for the first time, you know.
Yep.
I thought that was funny. And that you know, the song also "Just Run, Milka." I like that theme, but
Sure,
again,
arousing.
the number in the barracks when they first did the number, my fear was because I was familiar with this actor, and I go, they're going to break out in this big giant musical fake number. So I really was kind of dreading it, and they didn't do that. It looked like a bunch of guys in a barracks just trying to do something kind of goofy. So I said,
Yep.
okay, they're not going to go that route, and I was real happy about that.
That's a
So
good point. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but it set a standard like, okay, this is how they're going to use music in this movie.
Exactly.
That works for me. And it could have been a gigantic choreographed number. That doesn't
Right.
mean it would automatically be bad, but it felt more real because it was
that's what I
guys in
mean.
the barracks
And I
hanging
don't
out and
mind.
complaining.
Like sometimes the musical numbers in these films, like especially the Bollywood ones, because Malayalam really doesn't do it, Tamil really doesn't do it either. Bollywood does it.
Mhm.
Sometimes, even if I like the number, it takes me out of it because I'm
I
like,
get it.
well, this makes no sense. Why other than we have to do a number here,
Right.
and I'm not saying they all do that, but I don't. I like when they work them in. Like if they go to a wedding and there's a big musical number, okay, that works for me.
Right.
Makes
Right.
sense. But these other, and again, I know that's the history of Bollywood. That's just what they do. But in a movie like this, I think it would have hurt the movie to do that because you want to stick to the story and you
Yeah, I
want
buy
to
that.
keep it relatively grounded.
Look, I mean, it's hard to do every single part of making a movie, and one of the things that is hard to do is to integrate music and a performance on screen of music in a way that fits the story and not, you know, like you said, a wedding is a natural place for
Right.
it. If you said like, let's have, I don't know, like a party scene that ends up being an opportunity to fight the discrimination of the Indians by the British, so you end up dancing and you win an Oscar, like that integrated really well for
Does
me.
it rhyme with
that
Katu
film.
Katu?
I can't remember what movie that was in. I can't remember, but
I still watch that number on YouTube.
of course you
at
do,
least
because
once
it's
a week.
amazing. It's amazing.
I know.
But I think this movie made the right, like you're saying, the right choice.
Yeah.
As to, like, this is how we're going to do it. And so they had music throughout.
Yeah,
But
and the
it was-
incidental
it was
music was
fun.
good. The background music was good.
Mhm.
Like when he was
Yeah, it
running,
was nice.
I liked
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, it was
So
good.
it wasn't Rocky, you know, it wasn't like as iconic as the Rocky theme, but
Right.
I liked it. It fit.
And there was
with
some
the
electric
genre.
guitar and
Yes.
stuff, and it was fun.
It
Yeah.
was very contemporary.
hmm
Yeah. So overall, you thought the music.
I
what's your
would give what I wrote was for performances I gave 3.5 out of 5. For music I gave 3 out of 5. I said there were several fun ones, but nothing really stood out for me, good or bad, which isn't I think
That's-
a bad thing.
I'm the
I just-
same way.
I thought it was nice.
If it doesn't
That was
hurt
nice.
it and it doesn't help it, it's a 3.
Right.
And this one, other than that one number that I really loved in the honky tonk bar, the music was fine. You know?
Yeah.
Now
Well, that's like
over-
when I rate a movie on like Letterboxd or something. You know, it's out of 10 stars.
Okay.
So if I give a movie 5 out of 10, that means I think it's fine. It's not bad. It's only
Right.
bad if we're going to 4 or below.
Right.
Like if a movie is okay, then it's five
Well,
out
I
of
might have
10.
to
And
change my rating system then because I only go 1 to 5.
well, no, but I mean, you can do that on Letterboxd. People will be like, if you look on Letterboxd for the average scores, it'll be like 3.8. It's like, but everybody put in 1 to 10 stars, so they're just doing math however they want to do it. But yeah, I mean, 3 out of 5 is right down the middle for me, and that means it's just fine.
Okay.
So
And overall, what'd you think of it?
I gave the whole movie a 3 out of 5. Also,
3 out of 5.
I thought it was fine. It was
Okay.
good. There were definitely, I think you could tell from what I've said earlier, there were parts that I thought were greater than the sum of it, and I enjoyed it. And if somebody wanted to see an Indian movie, an Indian sports movie, that sort of thing, this is a fine choice. There are movies that I like that would fulfill those categories that are better movies. There are movies that I think are more about stuff that you would learn more about India, like if you watch Jersey, the Telugu one, or Lagan or something like that.
Oh, Lagan,
But
yeah. Well,
but I mean,
Khan, you can't go wrong.
well, of course, but and it's only 4 hours, but it was a good movie. I'm glad that I picked it. I'm glad you wanted to watch it, and I
Yeah.
thought as I watched it, I was like, I don't love it. That's okay, and I think we'll have a nice chat about it.
Yeah,
And
it's
the only
been
way
in my
that you
queue
can
for a long time. So
okay, good, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been on my radar. So
yeah, I
it's
gave it
good
a
stuff.
4 only because I found the story really interesting. I
Mhm.
thought he was fantastic, and it made me actually want to do a little research on the real guy, which I did. I
Okay,
pulled some clips from YouTube of the real runner and
the
the
real
real
guy,
person,
cool.
and I found it really interesting. So yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, I had my problems with it, but overall, I thought it was really good. So
Well,
great call.
whoever recommended it, my goodness,
I'm telling
what
you,
a
that
great
guy's
idea.
money.
Whew.
That guy never, well, I shouldn't say never misses.
No, oh my God, he misses all the time.
Most of the
Ask his
time.
wife what movies he suggests sometimes. And, she'll be honest with you. But
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Okay, so hold on 1 second. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, and this is the part of the show where we do our recommendations. Okay, Drew. So this is the part because my tagline is if you recommend it, I'll watch it eventually. And right now I must have 300 films added to the list.
that's it.
And it's great. The list grows bigger every day. There's just not enough time in the day to watch all of them. But about the last 4 shows, I started doing my own Hollywood recommendations for
Okay,
them. Since you're
I like
recommending
it.
me, I'm recommending you. So I
I
asked
love it.
you to come up with a recommendation for our Maniac community, and what'd you come up with?
Well, I've seen a number of movies recently, even in the theater, that I quite enjoyed. Like I enjoyed The Accountant 2 more than I thought.
Loved
I
it.
enjoyed the new
Yeah.
Mission Impossible. I thought Sinners was
Wait a
amazing.
minute. I want to go back to Mission Impossible for a second. You've seen
Yeah,
it.
yes.
Okay, because it was getting roasted.
I don't think it deserves that. I
No.
mean, I had a good time with it. I really like the series in general. I
Yeah, me
especially
too.
like the last three. If I was going to say this is what the second half of the story should be, does it deliver everything I would have wanted it to? Not really, but it delivers the whole what the hell is Tom Cruise going to do now
Okay, and that's
thing
why I
that you
love
want.
those
And
movies.
I had a really good time. I
Okay.
think you should see it. If
Okay,
you like the other
I'm
ones, you should
definitely
see it.
going to see it, but I didn't rush out like I originally wanted to because it was
Yeah.
so. But it did really well too. The opening weekend, it did great.
It did very well.
Yeah,
It did,
so-
and it got defeated by more than $100 million by Lilo and Stitch, which I've also heard is good, which I would see. And I
Trailer
really
looked great.
enjoyed Final Destination Bloodlines, a nice family film. Um, what's playing in the theaters now that was the most exciting to me was Sinners, but we'll talk about that another time.
Okay.
Because I want to recommend a movie that was a complete surprise to me. I don't know if you've seen it or not. You've certainly heard of the director. It was a movie that is a very sweet coming of age, very relatable story growing up, an American kid, but not just for American kids, but growing up an American kid in the 80s. You know, it happens to be in this case in New Jersey, but it could have been Maryland or Massachusetts or anything like that. It's Kevin Smith's movie from last year. It's called The 4:30 Movie,
I haven't
and
seen this
it is charming and sweet. It gives you a great Amblin movies vibe, not so much in terms of like an adventure like Goonies, but kids like Goonies and kids that are real. And the whole point of the movie is I like this girl. I asked her out. She said yes. I'm going to take her to the 4:30 movie today. And it's also about, you're one of those kids, and I'm one of those kids, and a lot of people are lucky enough to be one of those kids. You love movies. And how did you find that out? And what did you do with it? And how did you want to make that part of your life? And the movie, it's just great. And it's got some silly stuff in it, like, it's Kevin Smith, so there's some meta stuff, like kids having an argument. Nobody's gonna stay and watch the credits of a movie to watch another scene. That's stupid. No one's gonna do that.
Did he direct it?
Yeah, he wrote and directed it. It's very personal. It's one of these things, like at a certain point, any of these directors, they make a movie that's really some version of about them / about the movie business. So this is, and I don't mean this in any bad way at all, because I liked both of these movies. This is Kevin Smith's Fabelmans. Like, he's at that stage in his career, he's reflecting on who he is, where he's from, as a storyteller, what kind of movies he likes, and these kids that he found to be in this movie. There are some familiar faces and some people from his other movies that are, in for a scene or two, whatever. These kids, especially the lead two kids, amazing, like really amazing. And I don't know, maybe it's 90 minutes. It's really sweet. It's really fun. I cut it at a library. I'm sure you can rent it digitally or whatever.
Yeah, I went to watch this because you had recommended it, but I can't remember why I didn't watch it. I wanted to watch it though, because I think I saw the trailer to it.
You might have, yeah.
And it looked like,
just
okay,
good.
This is my kind of film because this was my life.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I felt. It just related to it in all the right ways. It's the kind of movie, like if I met Kevin Smith, I'd be like, I just want you to know I saw that movie. Good job. You nailed it. You got it right. It felt right. And he knows that already, which is why he made that movie. I will say you should stay and watch all the way through the credits. And if you're a fan of his other movies, there's a lot of stuff that's references that some of which is very, very rewarding. If you don't know any of his movies, you won't know that you're missing anything, which I think is really important.
They are kind of all in the same universe, right?
Yes. Yeah. And so there's some of that, but like, if you said, I don't know who Kevin Smith is, I've never seen Clerks, I've never heard of it, I've never seen any of these movies, I'd still say this is a really charming movie about a guy who likes a girl, one summer when they're growing up, and it's just great. It's just
my
really
favorite Kevin Smith film is Mallrats. I love Mallrats.
I mean, that's really fun. My favorite one is probably, I don't know how well it's aged. I haven't watched it in a while, but in terms of the spirit of it and the rawness of it, it's related to this movie. Is Chasing Amy, his third one.
that was a raw movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you because there are people who are just now discovering Kevin Smith. I mean, I was I don't know what, 20 when Clerks came out or something. So I was falling in love with movies, and then indie movies were a thing, and he was one of those people.
Yeah.
And the 4:30 movie it just hit the right spot.
Yeah.
And I haven't recommended it to anybody who's seen it and hasn't said, "Yep, that's what it is."
Yeah.
Thanks. So I think you'll really dig it.
Okay,
I look forward to your thoughts.
I definitely plan on watching it. I didn't avoid it. I want to watch it. Great, like I said.
You don't have to say I didn't avoid it, because I've recommended to you before. I think you should go and have at least 5 meetings with all 5 major Indian language cinema industries and say, can you please stop making movies? Let's just say 3 years.
Well, they want me to do
I
do community polls. Now they want me to do.
That's your fault, by the way.
Per genre, they want me to come up with lists per Malayalam, Tamil, Bengali, I think it was.
Well, yeah, there's Bengali,
Kannada,
Gujarati, and Punjabi. That's all sorts of stuff.
But Amir Khan doesn't do those. Neither does Shah Rukh Khan. So
he doesn't. But I think the big dream of some of these big movies is a pan-Indian hit, and there have been a few of those, and they're not all the Amir Khan Hindi.
Well,
industry.
he's making a sequel to Tar Zameen Par.
You told me something about
completely
that.
Unrelated to the first film, which kind of bummed me out. It looked funny, but completely a different kind of film.
Well, I'm hoping he'll make a movie. I would call it La Sing Chada De, and it's a sequel.
You know what? That movie everybody hated. I did not hate that movie.
I don't hate it because I didn't see it. But I hated the original, so I'm not going to.
But they hated it. The hate on it was so visceral, and I watched. I go, you know what? This isn't nearly as. It wasn't great. Don't misunderstand. Yeah. But it wasn't nearly as bad as they said it was. Okay, let me get to my pick.
Yes, please.
My recommendation is running based. This is one of my all-time favorite films about running, and it was a TV movie from 1979 called The Jericho Mile. And
Oh, okay. I've heard of
it
that. I
is
have
a
not seen that. Okay.
fantastic movie. You can only find it on YouTube. YouTube. There's no DVD. It's not streaming, but it is on YouTube. It was Michael Mann's directorial debut,
Okay.
and it stars Peter Strauss, Richard Lawson, Brian Dennehy, who's it's a
Nice.
prison movie. He plays Dr. D. Billy Greenbush and Ed Lauder. It's a story
And
of
Richard Mole, I just saw.
yeah, Richard Mall's in it too.
Don't want to miss him.
He's going to he murders somebody and he's in prison for life, but he's
Okay.
also a runner. And it's the story about the it's a prison movie, and then it's kind of a Rocky movie, and the ending. And it's funny because I've probably seen the movie 3 times, but I vividly remember the end of the film, and because they use he wants to qualify for the Olympics or some race, national race, and they originally say he can do it. So the prisoners build a track for him to help him train,
Okay.
and he's training, and then at the last minute, they won't let him do it. So, and for all kinds of reasons, now he goes out to the track. He's got a stopwatch in his hand, clicks the button, now starts running. And there's a Stone song. I can't remember which one it is. I can hear it in my head, but I don't know the name of it. And he finishes the race. Someone grabs his hand with the stopwatch, and they go, "He beat the record. He beat the record." And then he takes this is what's etched in my brain. He takes the watch, throws it, spins, then in slow motion it smashes against the wall of the prison. I just
Nice.
remember that scene so vividly. Peter Strauss is fantastic in this movie, and again,
Okay.
he trained for this film. When you look at him, he's not jacked, but he's lean as can be. He looks like a long distance runner is what he looks like. But if you've never seen it, it's on YouTube and it's an HD copy of it. Check it out. If you like the film we just reviewed, I
Okay.
think you'll like this movie too. And
Well,
let
I
me
was
know
going to
what
say
you think in the
now
comments.
that you've said that, who I mean, you could say Amir Khan, but we've seen other people who should star in the remake
The remake
for
of
India of the Jericho Mile for India.
Oh wow.
You could cast our lead from this movie we watched today. That would be fine.
Yeah, but this movie. How old was this movie?
79, I think it said.
No, no. The
Oh, this one's
2013.
2013.
So he's too
2013.
old now. You got to get
Maybe too old
someone.
now.
Yeah, you got to get someone. I don't know who it would be. I'm trying to think of Oh, you know who it could be? Is it Ranveer Singh? Ranveer
Okay.
Singh could probably pull this off.
Okay.
But it's
if
you've
we're
never seen-
wrong, your fans will tell.
I would.
us.
Well, they're going to say that no matter what. Doesn't matter. They're going to
That's
tell
true.
me some Malayalam actor, some Tamil actor. Fafa could play this role.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Boom.
I'm not gonna lie. Fafa is almost always the right answer for anything.
You're
'Cause
right
he's
about
that good.
that.
So
Okay, so that's it. That's our show. And Drew, I really appreciate you coming on the show as always. It's good to talk to somebody else.
I love to
appreciate
come
your
by.
insight on
Thank
the
you for
film.
having me.
Oh, please,
Thank you.
it's a pleasure. We'll do this again. We'll
Let's do
continue
it.
to do this. I love this.
Me too.
And for those of you now, look, here's the thing, guys. I'm trying to hit 1,500 subs. I want to hit 1 million eventually, and there's a lot of people in India, so let's go. But I'm trying to hit 1,500. The good news is the last film I put out seems to be going a little bit viral, and I've gone up a couple of hundred subscribers already. So I think it's going to happen. But I
Awesome.
ask you this: if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and as always, the only way we can really build a community is if you share the videos with other maniacs out there who might enjoy this kind of stuff. Okay. So
That's great.
that's it. Drew, once again, thank you. You look fantastic. Keep up the good work. Please, next
Thank
time
you.
I want to see Kelly and I want to see in something a little slinky. Okay. I want to see the whole picture. Is that
I mean,
sexist?
I can definitely put on something like that. I'll have to leave that up to her if she wants to. I'll ask her.
Hubba.
But I'll deliver that because I believe that the audience should get what they want, or if maybe what they don't even know that they want.
It can be very chaste though, because Indian films, they do that. They're very sexy, but very
That's-
chaste.
That's true. They faded out when the Australian girl kicked her shoes off in this movie. So.
Exactly.
I was like, I don't know where they're going, but I guess she's gonna be walking around in her socks. So
Oh, okay. Great show, everyone. Thanks for watching. And we'll talk to you soon with either 10ish minute review or a 10ish minute trailer reaction. Thanks for watching, everybody.
thanks, guys.
Gulumil